Behind me are most of the parts for a computer that I'm going to flip for a profit. The only part I'm missing is the GPU, literally the most important part in a gaming PC. Luckily for me though, I came across this ad a couple days ago on my Facebook Marketplace. The seller had listed this GTX 1660 for $90. Now in the description, the seller mentioned that he's upgrading to a newer graphics card and he's somewhat flexible on the price. When you see that in any description, whether you're buying computer parts or literally buying anything, you're guaranteed a cheaper price. So I sent him a message for $75, and what do you know, they accepted. In the whip right now, we're on our way to go get that graphics card. It's not too far of a drive, only about 20 minutes. Now we are meeting at a random gas station, and one of the last times I got a Facebook Marketplace deal, I actually got scammed, so I just told the guy, yo, I don't mind meeting here, but if you can send me a video, then I'll meet here. If not, then I'm not gonna get the deal. Luckily, he sent the video, so the graphics card should work. Deal secured, $75 GTX 1660. Not bad. Now the guy did ask, he's like, so are you building this for yourself or do you build and sell them? I was like, I'll be honest, man, I do build and sell. I don't know how people feel about me buying their parts when I offer them lower, because I'm getting a good deal and I'm gonna make profit on it. I don't know how they feel about that, but oh well. Yeah, I just got home. Now I'm getting the GPU on the test bench. Let's go, it's working. Now that you know what the graphics card is, let's go over all the other parts, but first, a word from our sponsor. Super CDK is running their back to school sale, and it's perfect if you just built a new PC or you happen to flip computers as well. Instead of dropping $200 on a Windows key from Microsoft, visit Super CDK down below and be sure to use the discount code SPLA to get 25% off. You can get Windows 11 Pro for $22 after the discount. You can get Windows 10 Pro for $17. The discount code also saves you money on other Microsoft Office products such as Office 2019. Once you're ready to check out, they accept different forms of payment. Once you get the key, activating it is so simple. Head to your orders page on Super CDK, click Get Key, then just copy and paste it into your window activation settings, and bam, no more watermark, and you saved yourself $200. Thank you Super CDK for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out their back to school sale with the links in the description. Okay, let's go over the parts so we can build this PC. I got the CPU here. I'm going with one of the best options in this price range. It's literally an AM4 classic, the Ryzen 5 3600. This thing is 6 cores, 12 threads with a base speed of 3.6 gigahertz, and it has a lot of L3 cache, especially for the price, and that's what makes it literally the best option for the price range. I bought this one on eBay for $57.74. Now the average sale price is around $70, so I got a decent deal on it. I'm pairing that CPU with this Gigabyte B550 motherboard. It's just a basic DS3H AC model, but it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which is especially good for a PC flip because not everyone can connect via Ethernet. And I paid $60.60 on eBay. Came with the IO shield and Wi-Fi antennas. Pretty good deal, especially for an AM4 board. Now one of the clips on the RAM slot is broken, but it still recognizes RAM in that slot. Now for the RAM and storage, I'm going with some pretty basic stuff. We got a 16 gigabyte kit of RAM and we got a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. The RAM was bought for $23.60 on eBay. It's this G.Skill Ripjaws 3600 megahertz kit. This is the optimal speed for the Ryzen 5 3600 to get the best performance. And our SSD was brand new on eBay. It's a Gen 4 1 terabyte from WD Black. I can't remember the exact price, but it will be up on screen. Now the original plan was to use this in a completely different build, but I just thought it was broken because it wasn't appearing in the BIOS. And then my little turtle brain remembered that new NVMe SSDs don't always show up in the BIOS. I then tried to install Windows and it showed up, but by that time I had already used a different SSD in that build. So now I'm using it with this one and it's perfect because our motherboard is B550, so it has PCIe Gen 4 support as well as our CPU. Now to keep said CPU cool, I'm using the AMD stock cooler. In most of my PC flips, I tend to use this sub $20 ID cooling CPU cooler. It provides great cooling performance for the price. It's ARGB and comes in black and white, but I wanted to save a little bit of money on this build, and I also wanted to spray paint the stock cooler white. I think it turned out pretty clean if I do say so myself. Okay, those are the majority of the parts. Let's prep the motherboard for this case. First, install the CPU. Then install the RAM. And then install the SSD. And finally, install that awesome spray painted cooler. We got our motherboard all prepped, and luckily we got that IO shield with the B550 board. I installed that into the case, and speaking of our case, I'm using a new contender for the budget PC flips. It's Okinos Aqua 3, and I used this in a previous video, and it's perfect. It's right around $60, comes with 3 ARGB fans and a controller for them, and it's rocking that clean fish tank style design. As far as I know, the case is black, and I spray painted the CPU cooler white. You're probably thinking, bro, why? Just trust, this black build with touches of white will just look perfect, at least in my opinion. Now, one downside of the case, it doesn't come with any intake fans, but there is room to mount some on top of the power supply basement if your motherboard has its PCIe slot all the way at the top. If not, then your graphics card will block it and there won't be enough room. So here's what I'm talking about. Technically, our PCIe slot isn't at the top, and you can see there's not a ton of room here. You probably couldn't fit normal size fans, but maybe slim ones. To make sure this computer turns on, I had to buy a power supply. I'm using this Rosewill 650 watt 80 plus bronze unit. Unfortunately, it has ketchup and mustard cables. Now you can use the stock power supply cables, but I really find, especially with flipping PCs, it's worth it to spend that extra money on cable extensions. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using these all white ones from Asia Horse, and it will match our CPU cooler perfectly. For the power supply and cables, I paid a total of $46.93. The cables were bought on sale on Amazon, and the power supply was bought on eBay, listed as buy it now. Okay, I am installing the last part of this build, and in case you forgot, the last part is this GTX 1660. It's a 6GB GPU, and I actually just benchmarked it in a separate video, and it's great for those on a budget. Okay, here's the completed build. I'll be honest with you, I already got all these parts on a test bench before building it, and I installed Windows on the SSD, so it all should work. Oh, there we go. Ooh, that's looking clean. Well, that's perfect. It's just saying no signal. All right, the computer's working. All I did was shut it down and turn it back on, and there might be a problem with the Windows install. I'm gonna figure this out, test it out, but first, let's get some pictures of this thing so we can get it listed and get some profit. I told you guys to trust me on this build, and I hope you did. This build turned out great, and I really liked the white details. Now, there were a couple issues I had with this build. One, this case has a Type-C port on the front, but our motherboard doesn't support that. And the second issue, I had to do a fresh install of Windows. But other than that, this PC runs and performs great. For the gaming benchmarks, I kept it super simple. I tested Fortnite because it's popular. I ran it at 1080p with DirectX 12, 100% 3D res scale, far view distance, and everything else on low. I killed this guy with one of the stupidest weapons in the game. Honestly, it was pretty cool, and I wanted to emo on him so bad, but I just kept killing. Then I got killed by another stupid ass weapon in the game, or car, or whatever. I decided to run it back one more time, and I didn't hold back on the emotes. This computer did pretty good with an average of 123 and 1% low of 73. Now, I tested Warzone Resurgence because it's also popular. Ran it at 1080p with the Ultra preset, and we averaged 60 FPS with a 1% low of 44. I decided to drop to the medium settings to see what performance increase we would get, and I saw an average of 67 FPS with a 1% low of 46. Overall, pretty good experience. Last game is Cyberpunk. Reason being, I always like to test a harder game. I ran it at 1080p with high settings, and we saw an average FPS of 59, right under that 60 FPS mark. I just added those benchmarks to the description, and I used the pictures from earlier, and I got it listed for sale. My total cost was $383.44. A little bit on the high end, but after finding the average of all the individual parts, adding it up, I got a price of $464, so I'm gonna list it at $530. If it sells for asking price, and that's a hard if, that's a profit of around 150 bucks, and I listed it on my Facebook and my Jawa account. So if it sells on Jawa, the profit's closer to like 100, maybe 120 bucks. But hey, as long as the profit doesn't dip under $100, I'll still be happy. With these more budget builds with like 1660s and GTX 1070s, I found that it's kind of harder to sell them now. I'm having more luck with like RTX 30 series, RTX 20 series, and just higher end GPUs. But well, at the end of the day, if it sells, profit is profit. Let's just hope it sells. Day one after listing the computer, not too bad. Ad is surprisingly doing well on Facebook and on Java. Well, kind of decent on Java. On Facebook, I've gotten a few messages. I got one today, probably 30 minutes ago. It seemed like the guy wanted to meet up today. He hasn't responded to me yet, so maybe that's a sell. And then of course, I got the usual trade request message. Out of all the trade request messages I've received on Facebook, none of them have turned into a sell. It's always a waste of time. Comment below your experience with that. Okay, day 2 after listing. Alright, day 2 after listing that computer. Unfortunately, that guy didn't respond to us, so yeah, no sell yet. But we did get another message, and it seems like they wanted to meet up today as well, but of course, no response from them either. And then over on Java, I've gotten a couple offers. I declined the first one. He offered like 515 bucks. And like I said, on Java, it's already less profit, like 100 bucks. So if I take any less than what I listed it for, it just won't be worth it. So I'm just gonna keep waiting, because I really feel in a few days it should sell for asking price. It's the same day. I'm just making up some dinner right now, and I was right. The PC is gonna sell. Okay, now it's the next day, and the computer already sold. It actually sold yesterday. Now, unfortunately, it sold on Java, and that sucks because, like I said, the profit would be less than if it sold on my local marketplace. But I am happy it sold because the market is super slow right now, so I'd rather sell PCs than just sit on them and lose money on them. But also, I do believe it would have sold on Facebook maybe in a week or two, because the ad is doing surprisingly well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to keep the ad up because I have more parts to build this PC over and over again. That'd be cool if I could use this listing to sell multiple PCs. That's a trick I like to try, but it doesn't always work, especially when the market's slow. But now let's go over the profit. So on Java, it sold for $550, which was my asking price. Kind of funny, the guy that sent the original offer of $515 that I was telling you about, he's the person that ended up paying my asking price. Anyways, they have fees, and I enabled shipping insurance, so that took $56.38, which gives us a total payout of $493.62. But my total cost did increase for this system to $393.44 because I spent $10 on the shipping materials. That Instapack is kind of expensive. Anyways, that gives us a total profit of $100.18. Like I said, the profit is kind of low, especially compared to my other flips, but it's still 100 bucks. Not bad. Like I said, the PC flipping market is kind of slow right now, but I'm still selling PCs in this slow market. If you're also experiencing a slow market, go ahead and click this video here. I provide you some tips which might help you sell PCs in a slow market. I actually use some of the tips in this video. Anyways, smash the like button, subscribe if you loved it, and I'll catch you over at that next video.